I'm Mike Uyak. I love to try new things, and I've had culinary adventures all around the world, as well as right at home. I've had really wonderful food, as well as some really horrible food. I'd like to share some of my adventures with you, and we'll see if I have what it takes to fix whatever goes wrong. This is Recipe Redemption. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Recipe Redemption. Today, we want to talk about Vienna Sausage Shortcake. Let's talk about that. This comes from 1967 from Good Housekeeping's Keeping Cool cookbook. And what it constitutes is a normal batch of cornbread. It's not really a shortcake, but cornbread, on top of which you put a sauce, topping, what have you, that is made from cream of chicken soup, milk, cheddar cheese, French-style green beans, and the eponymous Vienna sausages, all cooked together into sort of a sauce topping and poured on top of your cornbread. First of all, it's a little bit misleading to call this Vienna sausage shortcake, because you're thinking of like strawberry shortcake, right? But when you think of it, cornbread is a quick bread, much like shortcake is. It is less sweetened, generally speaking, than your typical shortcake that's intended for a dessert, which is appropriate because this is very definitely an entree type dish. That's basically how you make it. This is basically how you eat it. So, yeah, it's a shortcake, but it's not really it's cornbread. So this is how I made it. So I'm only going to show you the sauce, which starts off with some cream of chicken soup, just the concentrate, straight into a saucepan, along with some milk and some cheddar cheese, and just heat that until it's melted. This is going to be going on top of just packaged cornbread mix. That's why I'm not bothering to show you making that. Just follow the instructions on cornbread mix, sprinkled with some sesame seeds on top. Now, I'm adding just regular cut green beans, frozen green beans into this. It calls for French style. I didn't happen to have any, and it doesn't really make that big of a difference. And oh yes, here are the Vienna sausages that go in. Stir to combine and heat until heated through, probably in about another 5-6 minutes, and then dump the whole mess on top of some cornbread. That is your shortcake. It's not shortcake, it's cornbread. Now this is something that you can make out of common refrigerator, pantry items that you have on hand. Presumably you have things like cornmeal, flour, cans of Vienna sausages around, and in your fridge you will probably have milk, cheese, butter if you decide to use it, can of cream, chicken soup, all these things that a mid-century kitchen and or pantry would probably have around, something that you could make into a quick half-hour dinner. So I get where this came from. However, I've never really liked Vienna sausages that much. They're kind of like hot dogs, but yet not. All the things that you sort of complained about with hot dogs as far as texture and flavor, sodium content, are amplified. All the negative things about hot dogs, if one believes that there are such things, they're 3 times as bad in the Vienna sausage. They're squishier. They don't have as much texture. Um, they're saltier. They have just this sort of goopy texture. If you've ever actually seen a video of how hot dogs are made, it's like a slurry that is put into, and often they don't even have casings. Some do, some don't, but a lot of times they just extrude them out of a very hot, a steam heated extruder, so it sets the hot dog in its final form as it's extruded. Doesn't need a casing. These definitely don't have a casing, and they're so squishy. But yes, I'm putting off actually eating this because it's just. Mm. Mm. Meh. I still don't like Vienna sausages. Um, this looks more horrific than it actually is. Mm. You got cornbread. Ain't nothing wrong with that. The sauce, gravy, whatever you want to call it, is inoffensive. I mean, when you really think about it, cream of chicken soup, you had a chicken stock based velouté. Um, yes, velouté, to which you've added cheddar cheese to make it sort of like a Mornay. Um, the green beans don't really do anything for you. I mean, it's a nod toward, yes, you need to have vegetables in your dinner, but meh, they're there. Um, so it's sort of a vaguely chickeny cheese sauce. It's not bad. Um, it's not the healthiest thing for you, but hmm, it's actually not bad. Now, how do we improve this? Now, I'm setting myself the restriction. We still have to use the Vienna sausages because the best way to improve, because this, like I said, it's not bad. The best way to improve this is to take the Vienna sausages out and honestly serve the green beans on the side. Um, if you have to use the Vienna sausages, I think there's a better way of doing it. Let's try something. To improve on the texture of the Vienna sausages, I'm gonna fry them. So, in my pan, a little bit of olive oil and some diced Vienna sausages. I'm gonna cook them for about 11-12 minutes over medium heat, just so that they have a chance to kind of crisp up and look like bacon bits. Yes, there's a bit of oil, but that's okay. I'm adding this to some cornmeal that I've soaked in about twice as much chicken broth as cornmeal. And yes, I'm adding some of the cream of chicken soup to this to add some richness, and because I have the can already open, so why not? And simmered that on medium-low for about another half an hour until it starts to thicken up and hydrate the cornmeal, and then took it off the heat and let it cool. Probably about another 10 to 15 minutes until it sets up and it's sliceable. So here we are, fairly plain. This obviously can be dressed up a bit, but it is a creamy chicken stock and cream of chicken soup, a little bit, based polenta with bits of fried Vienna sausages in them. Obviously, you could do this with prosciutto, speck, spam even, heck. But since I had to use the Vienna sausages, this is how I chose to use them.
Mm. Mm. Frying them didn't quite. I mean, it crisped the diced Vienna sausage. It crisped them up, but once I threw them in with the polenta, they softened up a bit. But they still have more chew to them than just the Vienna sausages straight out of the can. Um, Also, frying them subjected them to the Maillard reaction, browned them, developed that caramelization on the outside that makes the flavor a lot more complex. So it brings it into a bacony direction. Mm. Not saying the cornbread was bad. Um, Polenta is just different. Um, it's more of a porridge that I have allowed to set up so that it can be sliced like this. Um, Flavor is good, fairly simple. Which, on the one hand, is kind of the point of the original Vienna sausage shortcake recipe. Simple, quick to make. This takes a little bit more planning ahead of time, or a little more time to cook. Again, if you've got bacon, spam, prosciutto, anything really that you can fry up, dice up and fry and add to polenta, do it. You don't have to use Vienna sausages, obviously, and really preferably not, but if that's what you got, this is what you can do with it. I think it ends up being a little bit more palatable, at least a little bit more presentable than the Vienna sausage shortcake, because it's just this gloop, this slurry that you sort of glop on top of your cornbread. It's hard to present it in any sort of appealing manner. Like I said, it doesn't taste that bad, but it loses something in presentation, and the texture of the Vienna sausages is still Vienna sausage-ish. This does improve on that. And I've seen recipes where people actually make cornbread muffins with bits of fried spam in them. So you could actually fry the Vienna sausages up in the same way that I did and incorporate it into the cornbread batter to the same result. Mm. So what do you think? Are there any other ways that we can redeem this recipe? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share with all your friends. And keep any ideas that you might have for new episodes. Keep them coming my way. I always recommend, or I always accept new ideas. I welcome them. So, until next time, I'm Mike Uyak, and thanks for watching Recipe Redemption.